Former Congresswoman and current crazy person Michele Bachmann recently spoke with Christian radio host Jan Markle about whether or not she'd be running for the United States Senate. Now, as you'll recall, she contemplated running once she heard that Al Franken would be resigning. However, she made it clear that she would only run if she was able to obtain God's approval. And now we have an update to this story. God told her no, so she's not running.
Many were hoping, praying, encouraging you to run for Senator Al Franken's seat. And you've decided not to. You're not going to go back into the swamp.
Well, I'm not going to run for that office. You're right. I had a lot of people contacting me, people wanting to give me money and be a part of my team to run for a campaign, and this would have immediately overnight turned into a national election. It would have been a big deal. But what I did is I did what I've done on every other time I've thought about running. I just took it to the Lord in a very quiet way. I took it before the Lord. I prayed. I tried to have my ears open and hear what God was saying to me, and I considered it for quite a long time. From the very first day when Al Franken had announced his resignation from the U.S. Senate, I went before the Lord, and it became very clear to me that I wasn't hearing any call from God to do this. And every time I've run for office before, I've always prayed because it's a significant impact personally and on my family. And so I've always prayed and tried to seek out what God's will for me would be. And each time before, I've had this inner sense that I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to run. It doesn't mean a guarantee that I'll win, but all it means is that that's what I sensed in my spirit, that God wanted me to run. I had absolutely no sense from the Lord at all that I was supposed to run this time. So it wasn't like, a big desire of my heart that I would run or I wouldn't run personally. I just had no sense from the Lord that this is something that I should do right now, so I'm not going to do it. This would be a very big undertaking to run for this office, and I would be delighted and happy to do it if I felt like that's what God was calling me to do. I just don't have a sense, and without that sense, I can't do it.
Thank God. Pun intended. I'm very relieved that she decided to sit this one out. I'm glad that she didn't hear a voice in her head that told her to run, because I suspected that, she's probably going to run because she's opportunistic, she loves attention, and she doesn't care about policy. Well, I should reiterate, she cares about policy, but she cares more about theocracy. So she wants the United States to look like a Christian version of Iran. So she doesn't have any driving ideology in terms of policy. She's not really on that left-right spectrum. She's all about implementing Christianity, codifying her religion into law, and that's really all she stands for. So the fact that she decided not to run is already a win. It's a victory that liberals of all stripes should celebrate, because this is someone who would actually have a good chance of winning. She would automatically have the evangelical vote on lock. She also has name recognition that other Republican primary contenders might not have. So the chance of her winning, I don't know that I would say that they are high, but she's someone who could have actually been elected to the United States Senate. So the fact that she's not running is really good news. I mean, look, we just defeated Roy Moore in 2017. We are now going to have to defeat Joe Arpaio and other Republican lunatics, and that doesn't include neoliberal nightmares that the Democratic Party is trying to shove down our throats. We don't need any more wackadoos or lunatics. We need sane people who actually care about policy to run. So that begs the question, why aren't you running? Yes, you watching this. I know that people, they have this tendency to doubt themselves, and we all do it. I think it's just something that humans are inclined to do. We're all our own biggest critic. But I hear from people all the time, Mike, I'm thinking about running, but I don't know that I would be qualified. Let me put it this way. If you care about policies that are important, that would actually improve the lives of normal Americans, you're qualified. You don't have to have this level of intelligence. You don't have to have money to run. Think about this. Louis Gohmert is a U.S. congressman. Still, he was elected multiple times. He's an incumbent congressman. Louis Gohmert, probably the dumbest person ever to be elected to the United States Congress. And look, the bar is super low, so to say that he's the dumbest, that says a lot about Louis Gohmert. But he was elected. So if he decided that he should run, if he thought if he was confident enough with himself to run, then there's no excuse for anyone else. So if you honestly are even slightly inclined to run and you're progressive, do us all a favor and run, because it's the only way we're going to take back our country. We can't just sit here and wait for a progressive champion to come along. I mean, of course, we have Bernie Sanders, but we need a lot of different Bernie Sanders. And thankfully, we're getting to this point in American politics where, yeah, there's a lot of Bernie Sanders type progressive candidates popping up. We have Amy Vilela, Sarah Smith, Cori Bush, Paula Jean Swearingen, and that's just a couple. There's a lot of really progressive candidates running across the country. So I think it's important that you throw your hat in if you feel confident that you're going to represent the people. That's really the only requirement. We live in a representative republic, technically. So all you have to do is represent the people. That's the minimum requirement. So you don't have to have a huge IQ. You don't have to have an IQ, or you don't have to have a degree from Harvard. All you have to do is run with the intent to represent the people. And I think that you should do it. So getting back to Michele Bachmann, I'm really happy about this. I just hope that she doesn't change her mind and think that she gets a sign from God or something. Please, just enjoy your life, Michele. You are rich. You have a lovely life, I'm sure. Just retire, go back to your gay husband, and buy a yacht, sail off. Leave us sane humans alone. We don't need you in the United States Congress.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.